Okay, function notation problem solving. We've got an interesting problem here. We're going to read it out and then we'll answer the two questions below. It'll take some time. You may have to read it more than once to get through this. A group of friends are playing a game after dinner where each person has to think of a number. So you think of a number, add it to half of that number, then multiply the sum by a third. The person with the lowest number must wash the dishes. So use function notation to express each person's answer A in terms of the original number they choose, X. So for function notation, what that means is A is the answer, X is the original number, so we're saying A at X is equal to, and then we got to reread this from about this comma here to this period, what's going on. So there's a number, we'll call it X. We take that number, so we think of a number. We've done that. We got the letter X, so that kind of gets crossed out. Add it to half of that number. So we're going to add it to half of X. Well, we don't know what X is, but we do know how to get half of X. We would just say X divided by 2. So we've done step number 2 there. Add it to half of that number. And then multiply the sum. Well, the sum is the addition of both values by a third. So we're going to multiply by 1/3. Check, that's sentence number 3, so part 3. So we've done all parts. I'll get rid of these little check marks. They're a little good for keeping track of what we've done, but a little confusing once we write it in our algebraic notation here. So we have use function notation to express each person's answer A in terms of the original number they chose X. So there we go. Whatever the original X number is they chose, we put it through this expression, this function, and it'll pump out an answer A. Below are the numbers chosen by each family member who will wash the dishes. So the person with the lowest number must wash the dishes. So what this is asking is, after we've built this, run the equation quite a few times. So we're looking for A at 12, A at -6 for Penelope. Derek was 12. Jennifer, we'll do one step at a time. I don't know how much room I'm going to need to calculate each of these. So we'll do this quickly. That's a third. I'm going to say 12. I guess I should use a bit of red here to help us. We're substituting that in for the X, plus half of 12. Okay, we'll get a third. This becomes 18. 12 plus 6 is 18. 18 over 3 is 6. So Derek at 12 gives us 6. Okay, so figured out Derek. Let's say -6. Well, we get a third. -6 plus a -6 over 2. We get a third. -6 over 2 is -3, becomes -9. Which becomes -9 over 3 is -3. So we know Penelope's answer, A at -6, is already lower. Penelope, we'll just put it like that. We have to do Jennifer, Aaron, and Spencer. Jennifer is 3/8. So A at 3/8 here is 1/3, 3 over 8, plus, this is where it gets a little trick here, 3 over 8 divided by 2. I'm going to write it like this. It's a little simpler to look at. You could put a fraction over another fraction, and it's very doable, but I'm going to write it that way just so it's a bit simpler for us to look at. We'll get a third, 3 over 8. Divided by 2, you invert and multiply. So you divide by 2, that's going to give us 3 over 16. When we add those together, we're actually going to get common denominators, so it'd be 6 over 16 plus 3 over 16 becomes 9 over 16. When we finally multiply this answer here, we'll get 9 over 48. Yep. That can be reduced. If we divide by 3, what will we reduce this to? 3 over 16? Yeah, and that probably would have made more sense if we had just done this in the first place. Reduced, divided that by 3 and that by 3. We got 3 over 16. Okay. So 3 over 16, I don't remember whose answer that was. Jennifer's. So Jennifer's in the clear. So is Derek. There's Jen's answer. We still have Aaron's answer, Aaron's answer, which was A at 20. We'll put it through the paces of the equation here. 1/3, we get 20 plus 20 divided by 2, or half of 20, which I know that one's a bit easier for mental math. We get 1/3. This will become 30, which will become 10. Yeah, 20 works out. Aaron's answer. And finally, I think Spencer was the last person. And they had A at 0. At 1/3, 0 plus 0 over 2. And right away, we're going to see, I think we're going to end up with 0. Because we get 0, yep, and they are 0 themselves. So our lowest answer here actually ends up being Penelope at -3. So that would be our answer. They put in the lowest value, ended up with the actual lowest value in this case. Quite a bit of work to that one. Honestly, the hardest part may have actually been, I mean, Jennifer's question, I guess, was challenging, but probably putting together the original function notation for this question was probably the toughest part to this.